Good day, it's Scott Picken, CEO and founder of Migrate and chairman of the Global Wealth Group. And I wanted to bring you this weekly wealth insight from a hill or mountain. I don't know what you would call this. But yes, my hair is all ruffled. I've just ridden up this hill. It's 9 kilometers. And it's above Crowdfunding. Now, Crowdfunding's in a country called South Africa. It's the 4th oldest city in the country. It was pretty much the outpost. And where I'm standing here is absolutely magnificent. It's right at the top of the hill. And it looks out over the Valley of Desolation. Absolutely amazing. You can see the town of Crowdfunding down in the valley there. Anyway, what is this weekly wealth insight about? Well, I've been listening to an entrepreneurial book called How I Built This, and this guy called Guy Raz goes and interviews all these entrepreneurs. And he talks yesterday, I heard a concept which I loved and I wanted to share with you, and I thought it was quite interesting with the Valley of Desolation lying below me, is that people get confused between risk and danger. So what he was speaking about was that if you look at flying on an airplane, most people see that as very dangerous. You know, people get scared of flying on an airplane. Some people have palpitations. They don't want to fly. They want to drive. They're scared of it. But yet, most people don't realize they have a 68 times better chance of dying in a car crash than they do in an airplane crash. 68 times. Every time you get in your car, you've got 68 times more chance of dying than you do in an airplane crash. Okay, and so that's so interesting, okay, because we perceive airplanes as very dangerous, but actually the risk is in cars. And another analogy they gave, which is fascinating, is that in America, people see sharks, great white sharks, as very dangerous. Every time they go swimming in the sea, they get very nervous because they might get eaten by a shark. And yet, one person per day dies in America from drowning in their bathtub versus one person per year that dies of shark attack. So therefore, you have 365 more chances of dying in your bath than you do of being eaten by a shark. Now again, this is fascinating because we perceive sharks as very dangerous, but actually having a bath is very risky. Now, what's the point? Well, the whole idea behind it is it comes to the law of familiarity. So what that basically means is that we drive in cars all the time, so we're familiar with them. We have baths every day, hopefully, so we're familiar with them. And because we're familiar with them, we don't perceive them as risky or dangerous. And yet they're actually the danger. And so what does this have to do? Well, I thought the metaphor with the Valley of Desolation, because what I find quite interesting is that this is a metaphor for our lives. Because a lot of people don't start businesses, as an example. They don't leave their mundane corporate lives because they perceive it as very dangerous. You know, they might go bankrupt, they might lose their reputation, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But actually they said, like, it's very risky. It's very, like, they don't know what to do. But actually the real danger is living a life unfulfilled for the rest of your life. I know. My father did this. My father was a great man. He worked really hard. He did his corporate job. He got a great degree, whatever, and he rose through the corporate ranks. He became financial director of a listed company. But he was never fulfilled. He didn't ever want to do that. He wanted to be a farmer. And he got kicked out of Zimbabwe as a farmer. And if he couldn't have been a farmer, he wanted to be an entrepreneur and be in control of his own destiny. He never did that. He lived someone else's life. He lived the life that society told him to live. And that's dangerous. I mean, that is a life unfulfilled. And if that's where the danger lies, then any risk is worth it. You know, and you know, something my uncle taught me was, you know, work out what your worst case scenario is. What's the risk? And then everything else, and can you handle it? And everything else is upside. And therefore, for me, you know, to risk nothing is the greatest risk in life. Interesting concept. What about investing? You know, most of us think that doing it on our own and you know, investing in ourselves and trusting ourselves and cutting out the middleman and cutting out financial advisors and whatever, we see that as extremely risky because we don't trust ourselves. The financial industry and the education system has taught us to not trust ourselves. And yet the real danger is following the statistics. 99% of people by the age they're 65 in England, Australia, and America will not be wealthy. 5% of them will be financially independent, which basically means they earn 25% less than their last paycheck, and 94% of them will be broke, dead, or reliant on the government. Now that to me is far more danger and following the herd and literally going over the cliff with the rest of them than taking the risk to learn, to invest, to learn while doing. Anyway, that's my weekly wealth insight coming live here from right up top here, the Valley of Desolation, one of the most beautiful views in Crowdfunding, South Africa. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe to the weekly channel. I bring out these weekly wealth insights. Please, we want to empower people. We want to empower 1 billion people. We can only do it with your help. Please go and share it with your friends if it was of value to you, because at the end of the day, it all starts with belief and knowledge. We cannot solve the greatest challenge on the planet without people changing and having a paradigm shift in terms of their knowledge. That's Picken signing out from this magnificent view. Cheers.